It's sunrise, the beginning of a new day. I'm Al Winsman, and I'm here to begin a journey with you that might just change the way you live your life. Every single step of this journey comes down to one very simple thought. You are at your best when you do what you naturally do best. Take a moment to consider that. You are at your best when you do what you naturally do best. Now, what does doing what you naturally do best look like?
Professional athletes are often admired for their natural abilities because they've established themselves as the best in the world at what they do. But even among them, there are those who stand out. Michael Jordan or Larry Bird in basketball, Tiger Woods or Michelle Wie in golf, Derek Jeter in baseball or Muhammad Ali in boxing. But the professional athlete who might best exemplify what we're talking about when we're discussing maximizing talents is Joe Montana, who quarterbacked the San Francisco 49ers in the 80s and led his team to 3 Super Bowl victories. Now, Joe Montana was on the small side for a professional quarterback. He only stood about 6 feet 2 inches tall, and that was when he stood up extra straight. And he only weighed about 195 pounds, soaking wet with rocks in his pocket. He didn't have a cannon for an arm, and he wasn't particularly fast. All he did was win, especially when he had to come from behind to do it. 31 times in his professional career, he led his team from behind in the fourth quarter to a victory. If you need a leader with ice water in his veins, if you needed calm under pressure, Joe Cool was your man. One of those come-from-behind victories occurred in the 1989 Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals. An example of Montana's talent to stay cool under pressure and to calm his teammates in the process occurred in the fourth quarter. 49ers were down by 3 points. There was 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, and they were 92 yards away from the goal line. According to teammate Harris Barton, in an incident that has now become part of the Montana legend, Montana walked to the huddle, and he saw how nervous his teammates were. He looked around, and then he stepped back, and he looked downfield, and then he nudged Barton and said, "Hey, look, over there, up standing by the exit ramp. Isn't that John Candy?" In one of the biggest games of his career, in a pressure-packed moment, Joe Montana was picking out celebrities in the crowd. He wasn't stressed. He was relaxed. He was confident. And that instinctive gesture calmed his teammates, who he then led on the game-winning drive. During that drive, he completed 8 of 9 passes, including the game-winning touchdown with seconds remaining on the clock. By maximizing his greatest talents, Joe Montana became one of pro football's greatest quarterbacks. He built upon his natural poise and his natural talents for seeing the field, for reading defenses, for thriving under pressure, and for bringing out the best in others. Joe Montana made quarterbacking look easy because he built upon what he naturally did best. In a story that he wrote on Montana, ESPN's Larry Schwartz quotes one of Montana's high school football coaches. He says, "Joe was born to be a quarterback. You saw it in the midget leagues, in high school, the electricity in the huddle when he was in there. How many people are there in the world? 3 billion? And how many guys are there who can do what he can do? Perhaps God had a hand in this thing." Well, I don't know about Joe Montana's spirituality, but I do know that God does indeed have a hand in these things we call talents. And not just Joe Montana's, but yours and mine as well.
But talent doesn't reside only in cultural superstars like professional athletes or musicians or speakers or artists. There are everyday superstars, people who are doing what they naturally do best, in roles that make the most of their natural talents as unique individuals. Kelly is one such superstar. Kelly is a receptionist at a busy medical clinic, and she excels at her job. When patients call into the clinic, Kelly's the first voice that they hear, and she immediately puts them at ease. She empathizes with their situation. She takes down the information accurately. She gets them in touch with a doctor or nurse and even follows up with them to make sure that they've been cared for. In fact, Kelly is so good at what she does that many patients would rather talk to her than their own doctor or nurse. Kelly excels at her job because she is in a role that makes the most of her greatest talents. She's doing what she naturally does best, empathizing with another human being, making someone feel loved and cared about, helping them find a personal connection. But it doesn't stop there. Kelly is also a new member coordinator, a new member orientation coordinator in her church. And when new members come in, it is Kelly who makes them feel welcome. It is Kelly who makes them feel a part of their new church family, makes them feel loved and cared about. More than finding out information about their church, more than finding a place to serve, it is Kelly who really seals the deal for these new members. At this point, you may be asking, how do I make this happen in my life? That's a good question. To answer it, let's first consider how we pursue success. We're conditioned to believe that God has placed us here with an eye toward fixing our weaknesses. Since that's the case, many of us are led to believe that serving God means fixing our weaknesses. We spend so much time trying to fix what we consider wrong about ourselves that we lose sight of what is naturally right in us. Over these 7 sessions, we're going to change all of that. We're going to take a very personal look at what it means to discover and maximize what you naturally do best. And the exciting thing is God has already given you everything you need to begin this journey, your greatest talents. Talents are naturally recurring patterns of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. We all have talents. They're the unique ways in which God has wired us as individuals. All talents are valuable, even though our talents may differ. They're valuable because they're the foundation upon which excellence and fulfillment are built. To begin discovering your greatest talents, you'll take the Clifton Strengths Finder, an online talent assessment that will measure your talents in 34 areas called themes. In your personal Clifton Strengths Finder report, you'll find your top 5 themes of God-given talents. Each theme is given a clearly defined name that gives us a common language to help us think about and discuss what you naturally do best. You and your traveling companions will be together every step of the way, supporting each other, tossing ideas back and forth, trying out new concepts. Together, you'll come up with practical solutions for maximizing your talents, to be everything God created you to be. Your Living Your Strengths guidebook will help you sort through and make sense of those experiences. Commit to making your guidebook your constant companion. It will give you scripture to reflect on, a place to make notes, and most of all, a place to record the story of your personal strengths journey. Your guidebook will help you make your way through all 7 of your small group sessions. Along the way, I'll share some new ideas and spark some discussion topics for you as you learn the real meaning and value of what it means to do what you naturally do best. Come along, let's start the journey.